All right, so today we're taking a deep dive, into faith and religious experience,
Oh.
and we're looking at it through your lens, like always.
Mhm.
You've given us some fascinating material to go over.
Oh.
Most notably, this excerpt from a talk called "A Faithful Search Rewarded."
Right.
It's really interesting, it's like a window into one man's journey, and at the same time, it touches on some universal
Oh,
truths
yeah,
about,
absolutely.
seeking meaning in life.
It really does. And this talk was given by Elder Patricio M. Giuffra,
Okay.
who is a leader in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
And he gave this talk at their October 2021 General Conference.
Okay.
What's so captivating about it is how he intertwines his own story of how he converted to the faith with these core principles of Latter-day Saint beliefs.
Yeah.
So he's giving us a guided tour of his faith journey through this talk.
Yeah, and it all starts when he's 14 years old,
Hmm.
and he's already attending a different church at this point, but he's feeling this kind of pull towards exploring other faiths. And he mentions this encounter with two missionaries.
Mhm.
Just picture it, these two young men in these dark suits and white shirts just showing up at his neighbor's door.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that pique your curiosity?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's almost like a movie scene, isn't it?
Mm.
And it's interesting how Elder Giuffra emphasizes the role of his neighbor in this
Wow.
story.
Okay.
Her name was Leonore Lopez, and she'd recently converted to the Latter-day Saint faith herself.
Okay.
And she invited him to meet with these missionaries.
Oh, wow.
And it really highlights, the impact of personal connection when it comes to matters of faith.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, we're drawn to explore certain beliefs because of the people we trust and admire.
Yeah, it's that human element, right?
Exactly.
It's not just about the doctrines and dogmas,
Right.
It's about the relationships and shared experiences.
Yeah.
So Elder Giuffra ends up meeting with these missionaries, and they're explaining this really key concept to him
Okay.
called the apostasy. And essentially, this is the belief that the original church, as established by Christ, eventually strayed from its true teachings and authority.
That's right. And this is really crucial because this sets the stage for the belief in Joseph Smith as a prophet who restored the true gospel.
Okay.
And what's really interesting to me is how Elder Giuffra draws a parallel between his own search for truth and Joseph Smith's experience.
Yeah.
Both of them were about the same age at this time,
Okay.
both wrestling with these huge questions about faith, and ultimately both found answers that completely shaped their lives.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where it gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
The missionaries tell Elder Giuffra about Joseph Smith's first vision.
Right.
So imagine being 14 years old, feeling really confused by all these conflicting religious messages that are out there,
Yeah.
and then having this experience where God the Father and Jesus Christ appeared to you as separate beings.
Wow.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right?
Absolutely. And this event is like a cornerstone of their theology.
Oh,
It's really what sets them apart from other Christian denominations.
okay.
It establishes this belief in a personal God who communicates directly with humanity
Mm-hmm.
and emphasizes the distinct nature of God the Father and Jesus Christ.
Okay.
So you can just imagine what implications this has. It
Yeah.
really reframes their understanding of the divine and how they view their relationship with God.
It's like a foundational story that shapes their whole worldview.
Exactly.
And then, of course, there's the Book of Mormon, and
Mhm.
Elder Giuffra introduces it as another testament of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's this sacred record that complements and clarifies the Bible.
That's right. And for Latter-day Saints, the Book of Mormon is incredibly significant to them.
Okay.
It's not just like an extra thing added onto the Bible.
Mm.
It's seen as like this vital companion piece
Mm-hmm.
that provides additional insights into God's plan for humanity.
Okay.
And it also recounts Christ's appearance to people in the Americas
Wow.
after his resurrection, which kind of expands that traditional Christian narrative.
Yeah, it challenges us to really reconsider the scope of Christ's influence, and how spiritual experiences can be interconnected across different cultures and continents.
Absolutely.
And there's this one passage in the Book of Mormon that really stood out to me.
Okay.
It invites readers to pray and ask God if what's in the book is true.
Yeah.
It's not about blind acceptance. It's
Right.
about seeking confirmation for yourself.
That's such a powerful message, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really empowers people to take ownership over their faith,
Mm-hmm.
to seek truth through personal revelation.
Mm.
It really aligns with that human desire to connect with something bigger than ourselves
Yeah.
and to find answers that really speak to us on a personal level.
And that brings us back to Elder Giuffra's central message from the talk, that everything good in life begins with faith.
Right.
He's saying that it's not just a passive belief.
Yeah.
It's this driving force,
Yeah.
that really shapes our choices and actions and gives us the strength to face challenges and find meaning in our experiences.
And he's not just talking about faith in a religious context either.
Okay.
He's highlighting this broader principle of believing in something,
Right.
whether that's a higher power or a certain set of values,
Yeah.
or even just believing in your own potential.
Yeah.
It's about that trust and that conviction that gives us the power to live our lives with purpose.
Right. And to live a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. And it's so fascinating how Elder Giuffra ties that idea back to his own experience.
Sure.
He starts his journey feeling pulled, to explore different faiths.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't about accepting what he was told. It was about finding something that he felt personally connected to.
It makes you think about how important questioning is, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if he hadn't been open to exploring other perspectives, he might never found the answers he was looking for.
Exactly. And it's not even just about questioning like doctrines or dogmas or
Yeah.
anything. It's about being willing to question your own assumptions and biases.
Mm.
It's about really stepping outside of your comfort zone and engaging with ideas that challenge your preconceived notions about things.
And that's exactly what he did by, talking to those missionaries.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for all of us to remember as we're going through all these Latter-day Saint beliefs
Yeah.
that this isn't about us converting or agreeing with everything.
Right.
This deep dive is about understanding,
Yes.
about appreciating how complex and diverse human belief systems are.
Exactly. We're looking at it from a perspective of curiosity and open-mindedness.
Yeah.
Recognizing that faith is a really personal experience and it can be interpreted in so many different ways.
Right. And what might seem strange to one person,
Yeah.
could hold a lot of meaning to someone else.
That's what's so fascinating to me about exploring these things.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning the facts.
Mm.
It's about understanding, the human condition better
Uh.
and how people search for meaning and purpose.
And speaking of meaning and purpose,
Yeah.
Elder Giuffra's story really highlights how transformative personal revelation can be.
Right.
He's not just saying, hey, believe this,
Exactly.
He's encouraging us to go on our own journeys of discovery. Like that part in the Book of Mormon that says, ask God,
Yeah.
It's all about cultivating that inner space for reflection and listening to that quiet voice inside you.
And recognizing that we all have the capacity for these spiritual insights.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times those insights can come from some pretty unexpected places.
Right.
It could be a conversation you're having with a friend or a moment of quiet reflection when you're out in nature.
Yeah.
Or even in Elder Giuffra's case, meeting these missionaries from a completely different faith.
It's a good reminder to be open to the unexpected.
Yeah,
And realize that our teachers can pop up anywhere.
absolutely.
It's like that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
And sometimes those teachers, come in the form of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And Elder Giuffra talks about how faith can help us when things are difficult.
Yeah.
And to find strength during those times, it's not about pretending that everything's perfect.
Right.
It's about finding that resilience inside yourself that helps you weather the storm, so to speak.
It's about having that unwavering belief that things will work out.
Yeah.
Even if you're facing huge obstacles.
It's that inner strength,
Wow.
that lets us face the unknown and find meaning even when we're going through something difficult.
Yeah. And it's not about having all the answers.
Yeah.
It's about having the faith to keep looking for them.
Exactly.
To keep growing and keep trusting that you're where you need to be.
It's a good reminder that faith isn't about reaching some sort of final destination.
Right.
It's an ongoing process of learning and growing and changing.
I'm curious, as we're wrapping up this talk and reflecting on Elder Giuffra's story and these ideas of faith, what's resonating with you the most? What are some of the key takeaways for you?
One thing that really sticks out to me is just how connected our spiritual journeys are. And while his story comes from his specific beliefs,
Yeah.
the things he talks about, like questioning and searching and finding strength,
Right.
those ideas apply to everyone.
Yeah.
They speak to that human need to connect to something bigger than ourselves
Yeah.
and to figure out why we're here.
I agree. And I think what's really inspiring is how much he emphasizes personal revelation.
Yeah.
It's not about blindly believing something.
Right.
It's about trusting yourself and seeking guidance from within.
Absolutely.
It's about empowering people to find truth through their own individual path.
It's a beautiful reminder, that we all have the potential to grow spiritually.
Yeah.
And even though our journeys can be difficult, they can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and where we fit in the world. It's really quite remarkable how Elder Giuffra is able to take these really profound theological concepts. It's like the apostasy in Joseph Smith's first vision.
Right.
And kind of weave them into his story, in a way that makes him feel relatable.
Yeah.
And even kind of exciting in a way.
I know, it's not just like a boring history lesson.
Right, exactly.
It's more like a living, breathing example of how powerful faith can be.
It is.
And it's like he's saying, hey, this stuff actually matters. This changed my life.
Right.
And it can change yours too.
Exactly.
And that brings me to the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a really key element of a Latter-day Saint faith.
Yeah.
But it's also something that people outside of the faith find really fascinating.
Right.
And even controversial.
It's a complex text, for sure.
Yeah.
With a rich history and a unique perspective on Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And it's been studied by so many different people, theologians, historians, literary scholars.
Right.
And there's a lot of debate about where it came from, if it's authentic, and what the theological implications of it are.
I remember reading somewhere that it's one of the most translated books in the world.
Wow.
It's available in over 100 languages.
That's incredible.
But really shows how far its reach is.
Yeah.
But, aside from the history and the languages, what I find most interesting is that invitation to seek personal revelation.
And that's actually a core principle in many spiritual traditions.
Okay.
It's about cultivating that connection, with the divine.
Yeah.
Trusting your intuition and seeking guidance through whatever works for you.
Right.
Whether it's prayer or meditation.
It's about taking charge of your own spiritual journey and not blindly accepting what you're told.
Exactly.
And it's interesting how Elder Giuffra connects this idea of personal revelation to his main message about faith as a foundation for life.
He's suggesting that faith isn't just about believing in something you know.
Yeah.
It's about letting your beliefs guide your actions and shape your values.
Yeah.
And giving you the strength to deal with challenges.
He quotes President Nelson, another leader in the church.
Okay.
And President Nelson says that everything good in life begins with faith.
Wow.
And I think what he's getting at is that faith isn't just about religion, it's about trusting in something, whether it's a higher power or your own abilities or just the goodness of humanity. It's about having that trust that lets you live your life with purpose.
It's about finding that thing that keeps you grounded.
Right.
Especially when you're going through tough times.
Yeah.
It's about knowing you have the strength to make it through and the inspiration to strive for something better.
And it's not about pretending that life is easy or that we won't ever have to deal with hard things.
Right.
In fact, Elder Giuffra really stresses how important faith is when we're facing adversity.
Yeah.
He talks about how faith can help us overcome obstacles and find meaning in our struggles.
And how it can give us hope that things will get better.
Exactly. It's not about escaping reality or ignoring the fact that there's pain and suffering in the world. It's about having the inner strength to face those things head on.
Yeah.
And come out stronger on the other side.
Right.
And believing that no matter how dark things get, there's a light inside us that can't be put out.
And faith can really fuel that light. It can give us courage when we want to give up, and compassion for others, and the vision to create a better world.
Wow, this deep dive has really given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
We've gone through this really personal story of faith, learned about some of the main beliefs of the Latter-day Saint tradition, and talked about the universal search for truth and meaning.
And how to build resilience when things are tough.
And I really hope that you'll take away from this the idea that faith in all its different forms is a powerful force in our lives.
It really is.
It can give us hope and help us feel connected to each other and empower us to live more meaningful lives.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay.
What seeds of faith have been planted within you today? What parts of this really spoke to you?
Yeah.
And where do you think your own search for truth and meaning might lead?
It's a good question.
And just remember to keep searching and questioning and believing.
And thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.